Call this hearing of Archaeological Review Committee of August 28th, 2025 to order. May we have a roll call, please?
Chair Eck,
Present.
Vice Chair Pierce,
Excused.
Member Bechtel,
Here.
Member One, present. Member Tree,
Present.
you have a full quorum, Chair.
Thank you. First thing for us to consider is approval of the agenda. First, staff, is there anything you need to change? Is this what we said then?
Chair, members of the ARC for items number A and B in old business have been postponed.
Both items?
Yes, sir.
First. Is there a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve the agenda as changed to eliminate old business.
Moved and seconded, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Passes unanimously. So, first item we have before us is a matter from the floor. Note that it is not an action item. Cultural Resources Class 1 Report, St. Catherine's Indian School by Chama Environmental Resources and Consulting LLC. Staff, will you introduce this presentation?
Chair, members of the ARC, Chama Consulting is working on the archaeological side of the review process for the redevelopment of the St. Catherine's School complex. And this has been an ongoing process. We had an early brainstorming meeting with Jenkins Gavin, and I want to say in around March. And there was some discussions, and it was a really good presentation. They've brought forth a lot of people and ideas and thoughts of the development of this landscape. And so staff shared with Jennifer Jenkins, who's here today, directions moving forward for the cultural review. And Chama Consulting is here, Veronica and Brenda, to share their literature review of the area and ask for some guidance moving forward for the archaeological review. The project also has to go to the Historic Districts Review Board and several other governing bodies within the land use before this goes before. But for the archaeology, Chama Consulting would like your guidance and just an open discussion to share what the ARC is looking for as for the review process, whether that be monitoring, surveying, whatever further actions may be necessary to really get a grasp of this scope of work. And they'll show more in detail with you.
All right. Then with no further ado, since this is not an action item, I believe we do not have to swear in anybody.
That is correct, Chair.
So tell us.
Right, well, so the Santa Fe Civic Housing Authority is the current owner of the property, and they are proposing to prepare the property for development for a hospitality project. That project, as proposed, includes the demolition, and the St. Catherine's is a state historic district, and many of the buildings that make up part of the state historic district have landmark status in the city of Santa Fe. The project is proposing to demolish 3 of those buildings and demolish part of one of them. The Jenkins Gavin contracted us to do a class 1 literature review to seek archaeological clearance for the archaeological resources on the site. So we did a class 1 review, and we provided a history of all of the historic structures and the archaeological work that's been done there so far. And as our understanding, and the committee may have to consider the historic structures together with the archaeology, you know, or not. And Jenkins Gavin, or the client has submitted a review of the historic buildings to the review board. Is that correct? That we assume will be then also passed to the ARC. But we were seeking a way to get archaeological clearance for any development that might happen at the property. So when we did our research, we found that a very good survey was done about 10 years ago by Statistical Research. And but their survey was not, the property itself is partially in the historic district and partially in the suburban district. And so our understanding is that when a property is in both of those districts, it is subject to the most stringent review, which would be the historic district. And archaeological clearance within the historic district requires a higher level of survey than SAR did, because it requires, sorry. Than SRI did, because it also requires testing. Yet, you know, SRI did because the property has been subject to extensive documentation already, and including redocumentation in the recent historic effort. I think all the HCPI forms were updated. We thought that there were 2 possible paths forward for the archaeological clearance, which would, like, according to the letter of the law within the ordinances, it would need to be resurveyed with 2% testing, and then a mitigation plan created based on that survey. Or we thought that it, you know, at the discretion of the ARC, might be possible to not resurvey and create a monitoring plan for any ground disturbing activities, because it may have the potential to impact subsurface deposits, particularly the cemetery. One of the properties is a cemetery whose extent may be undefined. And so we wanted to get guidance from the Archaeological Review Committee about what would be, you know, if a monitoring plan would be sufficient for archaeological clearance, if a resurvey needs to be done. And so those are our recommendations for the ways forward. And we wanted to get your feedback. Did you want to add anything?
Okay. Committee, I'd like to ask you to offer observations and opinions that hopefully could be helpful to these folks and moving forward. So whoever wants to go first, wave your hand or just start talking. I don't see any hands waving. So we'll leave member Bechtel to go later. And I will ask member Trees to hold forth.
The demolition involves the 3 houses. And those appear to be about 100 years old, plus or minus. What are they made of? Do you know? Are they pentile
The
or
houses are adobe.
adobe?
There's one pentile.
Only one pentile.
I mean, as far as, I'm gonna leave the archaeology to the archaeologists, but, you know, given that there's a cemetery there, I think just from, I hate to say this, but what's going on in Canada, maybe it makes sense to really do a very extensive survey around that may involve ground penetrating radar or something around the cemetery, just to see the extent of it. Since there's a fence, but we all know that fences don't really contain what they think they contain sometimes.
And regarding the historic buildings, that's outside of the scope of what we are discussing, or, I just wanted to clarify that.
We don't have anything to do with the standing structure. But the dirt they're standing in,
Yeah.
along, over,
Yeah.
around, and how the dirt got there piled up into
Yeah.
the form of an adobe is our bailiwick.
And it could be that there's something under the houses. I
Mhm.
don't know,
Yeah, very well could be.
so anyway, that's, I guess, the extent of my, concerns was, cemetery specifically.
Mhm. Yeah,
If something comes up, just chime back in. Number one,
So, obviously, I agree with the ground penetrating radar. I was thinking about that. So you do already have like a detailed survey and everything. My thought on this is that you resurvey with the documentation that's existing and update it if it needs updating, but otherwise say, we found this in the same condition that it is in now, and then do the 2% testing,
Mhm.
just to get some clue, because if you're just monitoring, you're already plowing into whatever you're gonna plow into. So I would recommend the 2% testing. And I know we don't necessarily or usually do this at the 2% testing level, but maybe, if you could send something in where you intend to put those test units and everything, so that like we could have a say in where those are, and then presumably you would also have to do the recovery.
So a testing plan to the ARC prior to.
no, under the city's ordinance,
Yeah.
it is not a testing plan.
Right.
This is
It's
Survey.
all reconnaissance.
Well,
Okay,
yeah,
sorry.
an
so-
unfortunate term,
Yeah.
but that's what it's called. It's a survey with
Survey
some
with testing.
testing that is in direct violation of the state regulations, but we do it all the time. Because we're not doing it with the mechanical excavation permit. It's specifically designed to find and document cultural resources. So under the state's rules, you should have a testing plan and a mechanical excavation permit. But this is the city.
Although you can test under certain, you can do survey level testing under the state as well.
Not the 2%.
Not the 2%.
So 2% of 18 acres is
It's
a lot of area.
Yeah.
So I think you should think about it. And I think you should come back to us with a very good map, the whole property. That shows everything known. All areas you think you might want to test, where you would put those test units, and then we have something that we could actually talk about in terms of saying, this is a good idea, or you need to move this here, or you need to add more here. At this point, we don't know anything. Had this been an action item, we would need all the ACDI forms, all the archaeological documentation that exists, not a description of what it exists. Site forms, activity forms, everything associated. So pull all that together, because you're going to need it eventually, because it can't really get through any review without complete documentation. The other thing you need, I believe, is an actual plan that says literally what is going to be taken down, what area that involves, how it will be taken down, where all the staging would happen, where all the stuff taken down is going to be stockpiled until it's hauled away. All those details, because the disturbance associated with demolition has every chance of seriously disturbing archaeology that is directly related to the creation of this school. And it's old enough under the city's ordinance that it is of archaeological interest, and therefore we need to know where all the disturbance will be. The cemetery. The first time I saw it, there was no chain link fence around it. So that tells you how long ago I saw it. Where the fence is I think an interpretation of where a boundary might be. If there are maps that show where there was an actual boundary, an older fence, or something that actually delineated a cemetery on a plat, that would be helpful. Plat research would be very helpful to know what was where when, how it got there. From what I recall, and looking at your maps, I think everything from a building that is no longer there, that was located immediately south of the trees that separate sort of the main campus from the cemetery. Everything from that building all the way to the end of the triangle. There's a triangle described by a road, a path at least, that runs to the east of the nearest building, circumvents the cemetery, and it goes up toward the athletic field. There's a dog leg in the property boundary there, about where the triangle is. It is typical that people get tucked into the back of a cemetery or along the side of the cemetery, but outside the boundaries of the actual cemetery, there other than regular men. Member Teresa alluded to other areas and other concerns, and definitely a concern here. Various tribal people and tribal entities have expressed concern for potential of an area where their kin may be interred. So you really need to talk to tribal people early. And I'm not volunteering you to be acting like a lead agency, but somebody needs to talk to them. And if the city is not in a position to do the talking as agency to agency, as government to government, then we'll have to figure something else out. City would be best because it would be true government to government. Allow what happened with pension center. They were direct. City and the document that we have appended to this thing, the earlier survey, yeah, it looks like a pretty good survey for a section 106 thing, but it's a section 106 thing. It does not meet state standards. It does not meet city standards. And it was conducted by people who did not possess permits to work in the limits of the city. I would use it as a source of information. Yes. As number one said, take it with you, stuff everything. And take all the forms with you. Check everything. That's all for now. I cut off Member Bechdell's chance to speak before I started rolling. So Member Bechdell, would you like to chime in?
Thanks. I concur with what you guys have already said. Those were the things I was thinking about too. And you said it in a more archaeological way. So thank you.
Well, terminology and gobbledygook, yes.
Sure, can I ask a clarifying question about the survey with testing plan? Are you suggesting that if the testing were strategically appropriately strategically done, less than 2% would be acceptable based on the locations of where we test?
I hope I didn't imply that, but I'm willing to listen to arguments why that might be appropriate.
Okay, great.
There are certain flexibilities we have utilized in the past when constraints were such that options were limited. That's why I need a good map, because I'm not convinced constraints are such that options are limited. It occurs to me that it's also good to talk to associated architects and engineers who might want to know something about foundations of existing structures, you know, how that might impinge their view of what needs to be done to rehab structures, what might need to be done to demo other structures, what might need to be taken care of so that demo over here doesn't affect the structure over there. And every architectural engineer I've ever met like to dig holes next to buildings to see what the foundations look like. So it would be useful if some of your testing were devoted to that information gathering, so it could do two things. Give the math guys something to play with and tell us something about the archaeology as well. So that's why I want you to think about it and come back with a general plan again as a member from, or an item from the floor, because it won't be reviewable yet. We just want to guide you in the actual placement of test gates. Number, area, type. I'm forgetting something. Maybe if I keep talking, I'll remember. Go ahead.
Would it be acceptable if we did the pedestrian survey? To put all that together, to use that information to direct the pedestrian level testing. That way it's more informed and you'll have the updated site forms and everything for everyone to see and then be informed about where that survey level testing is occurring.
Very good suggestion. She's thinking strategically. So yeah.
I can do
Perfectly happy to have you do a survey first and develop that idea. And bring it to us for sort of an interim review and approval. And then go back and augment it with the testing to bring it up to.
part 2 of your survey.
Yeah.
We'll be here 3 times. Or you're gonna be here a lot anyway.
Is there a plan?
Well,
Or
that's what I was
buildings.
gonna bring up, that they're not very far in the design process. Maybe Jennifer can speak to that. She's here to represent that part of the project.
So, you know, I was just thinking random survey rather than directed survey based on where they're gonna be blowing things up.
Yeah. We need the whole thing covered anyway.
Yeah,
But for every submittal for actual review as a case, we always have design plan. So ultimately, we'll need them before we can move to a final.
so let me just get this straight though. So there's like this preliminary pedestrian survey that just says, okay, here's what's on the ground. And then we get theoretically a plan of what's going to be built and what's going to be torn down. And then we can go, okay, here's what we want to do. Okay, I'm just trying to get,
Yeah.
I think it's just very pedantically stepwise.
yeah,
Just so we don't get out on a limb before we know what we're doing.
right.
Normally.
And prevent that from randomly.
For the historic downtown, you would just kind of let your survey or where you're building or whatever direct where you're gonna
Where you're
put
gonna
that survey level testing.
Right.
But
Right.
because of what you're looking at and the potential of what is there, it seems better to split it up rather than have you guys do 2% of testing and everybody here would be like, well, you didn't stick something in here.
No,
You
I
should
think,
go back out.
no, I think that makes a lot of sense to, you know, be very surgical and strategic about where the testing occurs. And so just as a little, maybe a little more context and background, so the Civic Housing Authority, Santa Fe Civic Housing Authority owns the property. We are doing various efforts through the City of Santa Fe entitlement process to enable the property to be redeveloped as a means to preserve the property. It is not going to be preserved in its current state. So in order to attract the millions of dollars of investment that are required to preserve these buildings, we are going to be submitting a master plan through the land use department along with a rezone to rezone the property. So we have a conceptual master plan and the program for the adaptive reuse of the campus is currently a hospitality program. After a lot of looking and research and talking to potential development partners, we really landed that hospitality is really the best adaptive reuse path for a lot of reasons. And so that is the direction we're moving. We have submitted, because in order to really finalize the master plan, we have to know which buildings are eligible for demolition. So we submitted an application to historic preservation regarding the three little houses at the back. And that will be referred to this body. And so that's part of the, you know, the code requires that any landmark demolition is referred to the ARC. So that will be, you know, will be coming to you. And so once we get through the demolition, we understand then, because you can't really design something if you have a maybe, is maybe this building going to be here, or is maybe this building not going to be here? So we're just trying to get through that initially. And then once the demolition requests are resolved, then we will finalize our application on the master plan and rezone request to go back into the city and go through that land use process.
Gabe has a
Sure, I
question.
have a question.
Go ahead.
For Jennifer, I was just curious, is it selective demolition for the main building that you're seeking?
So for the main building, there is the girls' dormitory, which is the kind of southwest wing of that building, which was built later. There's a shower room addition. The first portion of it was built like in the 1950s, and then another portion of it was built like post 75, which is outside of the period of significance. And we want to restore the main building in terms of all its elevations to their original elevations. So that little shower addition really doesn't do much. It doesn't offer anything. It doesn't, you know, and so we're requesting that very small partial demolition on that southwest elevation, but the balance of the main building will be restored.
Thank you.
Anything else, Gail? Okay. I took my glasses off, so I couldn't see you waving. Just flipping through here, I noticed something, this is niggly, but when you abbreviate the old Santa Fe Foundation Association to OSPA, it morphs somewhere in the middle and becomes OVSA, and so I'm not gonna fix that. Yeah, I don't think we know anywhere near enough to really know how to move forward. So with number one's recommendation that you go forth, do the pedestrian survey, update documentation, and give us impeccable maps. And we'll have So we'll move forward.
And just for what it's worth with respect to the cemeteries, because we had similar concerns about, because we know they're not always where you think they are, right? And so we did communicate with the sisters and they confirmed that that boundary is accurate. But I think the GPR is probably the quickest, easiest way to verify that. And we will look back at old plats and aerials and see, because I imagine it was probably fenced previously. That's pretty typical. And so we can do that research, but we did communicate directly with the sisters about that and they verified that, oh no, this is it. So that gave us a little more comfort around that. Cause we should, and we also with the redevelopment plan, I mean, we're giving it some breathing room. We're not looking to do very little, in close proximity to the cemetery.
Can is the Civic Housing Authority trying to make the property more attractive to somebody in hospitality to buy it? Is that what we're?
Correct, either
we're
partner
looking
with the
for?
Civic Housing Authority as a development partner or to acquire the property and then move forward with the redevelopment.
So we could be going through this again at some point, once another
Well, I think,
entity
I mean, I
purchases
don't
it,
think we
decides they
would-
want to put a hotel on the baseball field or something.
yeah, well, so we're gonna present a master plan that's gonna say, this is kind of the program. Now, if a hotel developer said they had a completely different vision for the property and they wanted to go in and amend the master plan, the zoning, the commercial zoning we need to have for a hotel would be intact. But a developer would say, you know what, I kind of want to, massage the site plan a little bit. I'd kind of like to put this building over here and do this over here. They could go back into the city and amend that, that would absolutely be, that could be a possibility, but I don't see any of that really necessarily impacting this. And it's also the timing with which we trigger this next step is going to be important because again, we don't want to be redoing it. So with respect to member X request about, we need to understand demo and staging and where things are moving around and how are you dealing with the material. That is like means and methods in construction. We are so not there yet. That is like, that could be 2 years away to have that level of detail around means and methods. So we just want to be strategic in terms of when we pull the trigger on our next step. But, we're here because we obviously the property's been surveyed. So it's like, okay, what do we know? And then what do we got to do to kind of close the loop on what we know to, satisfy the committee. So that's kind of why we're here today, is just to get that direction.
Yeah, well, it helps me just to know where we are
Sure, absolutely. Yeah.
in the process.
Yeah,
It seems
we're
like
early.
really-
We're really early. So, we wanted to understand. And so, for example, if we say, you know what, we know what we need to do, but maybe we're going to hit the pause button while we deal with some of these other things and get the demolition resolved. And at least when we have, talking to development partners, we can say, well, we know what our path is. We know what's going to need to happen. So at least it's not a mystery that like, oh, what do we got to do? Well, we really don't know, but we do know. Right. So that is in and of itself is a huge help.
Yeah, I have a question that's sort of related to that, since the design seems like it is pretty far off, for years. How quickly do you want to go toward the testing? Can we do testing before there's a design, or is that?
Like I said, the design we have right now is conceptual and it's at a master plan level. So it's not final. So that's a really good question.
Well, I'm not speaking for everybody, but, I would think if you guys went out and did the pedestrian survey, and then you did all the background research, like, detailed in-depth background research, try and really find where things are, besides what's standing. There are probably certain areas that you could test under the survey testing, because chances are you guys are gonna hit something that's gonna require further investigation.
So the sooner we know, the better. we
It
can
started,
plan that.
but like also, while all this is happening, cause it's not gonna, you guys doing all the background research and everything may not necessarily be super fast. Yeah, that'll give you, that'll also put in motion time for what's going on, like finding out what buildings are standing and everything like that. So you're starting early, so that's good. But by the time you do like because you're gonna split the survey and the testing, the survey level testing into 2 parts. They'll have at least some more idea, and maybe you'll have some idea where you want to really avoid or like
Yeah,
test
that's the other.
to avoid.
That's the other thing I was thinking, starting so early, there's benefits to that because it could help inform the design, since there is no design, and that's the ideal way to do it anyway.
Be like, you absolutely do not want to be right here.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is not worth your time
Yeah,
or money.
no, it's good, yeah, it's a valid point, for sure. Yeah, if there's any avoidance that is, worth doing.
It's usually good to know.
Avoid, I'm all about avoidance, I'm all about avoidance,
Before the engineer has gotten all the plans.
yeah.
Yes. You mentioned talking to the sisters. Are there sisters still living who taught here?
I believe, it's my understanding, I have not had direct communication with them, but I do believe there are still some sisters.
So when asked about the cemetery, was that in the context of, here's a map of the cemetery, is this the way you remember it? Or is it, well, there's the cemetery, is that where it?
No, the question was specific about the boundary. It was specific to the boundary. And we were informed that it did not bleed beyond what we know, what we understand to be the boundary right now.
In the context of the consultation that I outlined earlier, talking to tribal folk, city could also talk to his sisters, because the reason for contacting the tribal folk, they may have firsthand knowledge. I've been approached numerous times by residents of the area who allege that they know things. Sometimes it's true, sometimes it's not. But the people who are most likely to know things are the sisters themselves. So asking them a lot of questions would be helpful.
And we have been in consultation with the 8 Northern Pueblos. So they are aware of what we're proposing, what we're pursuing. So we've had a lot of consultation with that.
Is that been conducted by the city?
No,
I can't think of anything else at the moment. Members?
so are you guys clear?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, we really appreciate the time.
No, this is really, like I said, we'll be back, probably be back before you relative to the demo, probably well in advance of being back before you about just the standalone archaeology piece.
Just we've just gone through the museum survey stuff over here.
Mhm.
And is that a model that we could use for this?
I think
As far as, is it too big
Not.
compared, like they did extensive ground penetrating radar surveys before they even, tore up the parking lot, things like that. I mean, are there things that we can learn from that would apply here? I don't know. I'm just,
There's always the chance, but the contractors on the ground are your best bet for a useful, knowledgeable opinion as to whether it's appropriate for whatever the situation might be. Yeah, in an ideal world, if we had all kinds of money, we could go out and DPR the whole place.
yeah.
It'd be a grand experiment, but I don't know how much we learned.
Yeah.
The biggest difference with the museum, if I may, is that we have excavated a basement.
Uh-huh.
So we're not looking at our plan right now, we're not looking at any kind of significant excavation.
Uh-huh.
I mean, there'll be standard kind of grading just to create, but the site is pretty flat. And, eminently developable from a terrain standpoint, so we're not looking at moving a lot of earth over there like we are at the museum.
When was the property like decommissioned? Is it in
98.
20 years ago?
98.
It was 98.
98 was when the school closed.
Roughly 25, 30 years ago. Will those utilities will need to be brought up? To
Oh, yeah.
standard, and
There
that'll
will be,
a
there
lot
will
of-
be utility trenching, yes, but like as far as, excavating for like subterranean parking or something like that is not, it's not part of the plan.
Just trying to characterize it as standard foundation excavation.
Yeah,
Hold up something as opposed to
20
digging
feet,
halfway to town to the park pellets.
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
It's a little bit of a different, yeah, so we could look at, maybe you've got 24 inches of over X, under your foundation, depending on the soils condition, something, so it's very, very standard slab on grade kind of construction.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
with that all in mind, GPR might be helpful in some places, but
Yeah.
look at the soil.
Yeah.
And if you have somebody who knows something or has the tools, go out and do a test jab and see if you get anything or just a bunch of noise. If you get a bunch of noise, well, don't spend the money.
Hmm.
Standard archaeological.
Because we had discussed that early on and
Yeah,
sort of thinking about the money side of things.
yeah, the money side is,
Right.
really, really critical,
Yeah.
really critical.
Yeah, I mean, GPR within a buffer zone around the cemetery would probably save you money.
I agree, and I think that's an isolated, and I think that makes a lot of sense right there.
And I would put a decent sized buffer on it.
Yeah.
Regardless of what the
Sure, yeah, so like I said, we are not right on top of it, we're really trying to give it some breathing room, so to speak.
And I don't know where that would fall. In terms of testing, data recovery, survey.
Well, if we could define the limits of concern and establish a boundary that is just outside those limits, and we just leave it the heck alone, there's no conflict. There's no need to worry further about the cemetery. It's just everywhere else where you might find something unanticipated.
Hmm.
Hmm. So if you think you've got something to work with,
Yeah.
by all means, take off. And Paul is a wealth of knowledge about odd things about Santa Fe, so fly him with lots of questions, and if he wants us to chime in, he'll ask.
Excellent.
Thank you. Thank you all, appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Everyone will note that I skipped over approval of minutes on the agenda since we don't have any minutes to approve. We're moving on now to new business. Case number 2025-11038. Tom Environmental Research and Consulting LLC agent for EZ Fiber applicant. Request approval on archaeological monitoring plan for the installation of approximately 1,663 feet of subsurface fiber optic cable line along East Coronado Road and Gildersleeve Street in the historic downtown and provision archaeological review. Thank you for your staff report, Paul. Anything to add to that?
No, Chair. Thank you.
I am moved to make one observation about the phrasing of second to it. the last two sentences. Archaeologists have determined there may be a potential for historic cultural resources in the area, et cetera. And then the next sentence. Oh, I'm sorry, it looked like a period to me. It is the last sentence. All ground disturbing activities will be monitored. I know it's pedantic, but it is impossible to monitor all ground disturbing activities associated with boring because 99.9% of the project will never be seen because it's being bored. We can only look at the hole pits, the handholds, and whatever excavations for this cabinet. So I don't know how you phrase that. I understand what you meant to say, but that isn't what it is.
Yes, sir.
So, all right, if you have nothing else, we will turn it over to presenters who, in this case, will have to be identified this morning.
Okay, will you please raise your right hand, state your name and address for the record?
First, Brenda Belletti, 829 West Manhattan Avenue, Santa Fe, New Mexico, 87501.
Okay. Do you solemnly declare and affirm that the testimony you have in reference to this item shall be the truth and nothing but the truth and do this under the penalties of perjury?
I do.
Thank you. And then are you gonna speak as well, or?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Will you please state your name and address for the record?
Veronica Bashevsky, 149 Cayuga Police, Santa Fe, 87505.
Do you solemnly declare and affirm that the testimony you have in reference to this item shall be the truth and nothing but the truth and do this under the penalties of perjury?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Chairman, I'm sworn in.
Hey, guys, you have the floor.
Okay, I would like to say that we have Philip Jesui here representing Aspect Media Village, which this project will tie into or power up. We also, I believe, have Richard Estrada on the phone. He is from Easy Fiber. So if there are any questions associated with the connection or for Easy Fiber specifically, they are here.
Okay, somebody remind me to have him sworn in if he's gonna speak. If he never speaks, he's fine.
If you have questions, yeah.
And Phil as well.
Yeah,
If the question comes your way,
No.
we'll have to swear you that.
no problem.
Oh, and I guess I'll also say that Ron Wishers is here and he is also in, he'll be supervising the monitoring for this project. He's mentioned in the report, he's here. We'll be partnering with him because, you know, one of the questions that came up when we were writing this monitoring plan is at first it seemed like it was outside the historic district. And that was one clarifying question I wanted to get from you guys is like, what is the actual official map to look at? And where is the boundary? Sometimes it seems like the boundary is maybe not exact for historic district and suburban. So in this one, we were just right on the edge there. So we included it, but you know, it seems like it's actually outside.
Well, I don't have tools to answer that question because I had the same concerns. I looked at all the maps I could find and it's like, yeah, it is in, maybe it's not city. Is it in or is it not?
Tarek, members of the ARC, Tama Consulting, it's kind of an
Never what you want to hear.
open, so the staff requested that an archaeologist that's listed in the historic downtown be a part of this monitoring plan, given that it is kind of questionable, but that an archaeologist qualified be so to monitor.
Wise choice. And corollary to that, your earlier recognition that parts of the project are in and parts of the project are out. The whole thing is subject to regulations of in. So he'll be looking at the whole thing.
That's the plan.
Anything else?
No.
Okay. Member Bexel, would you like to kick this off?
Okay. I just had, one comment on the, 1766 map that you included, saying you don't know if your project is on this map or not, but both, there are two streets named Camino de Pecos, and, I didn't know if that was on the original, Euretia map or not, but, anyway, I don't know, I mean, you kind of covered it in your paragraph of it might or might not be here anyway, so I don't know if it's, worthy of saying, but I do have some questions on the easy maps, and the first one, it's called current sheet cover, and it's hour 49. And it's just sort of it looks like an outline of the area of work, but there's no legend, and so I can't say for sure that's what it is.
I think you're referring to the plan set that was in the appendix.
Yes.
Is that-
Yeah, it's
Yes, I think that is a generalized outline. It's not exact.
so it's an area
And
of work.
that, yeah. Mhm.
Okay, thanks. And then on the other side of that page, you have the buried versus the aerial. That's fine. Let me just get to the rest of them. The page 53, P1 of 2. You're showing handholds on private property, you're showing handholds in buildings. And I don't understand what what this is. You're also showing boards that go over driveways, and so you're just going underneath driveways, I assume.
Are you looking at the plan set again?
Yes.
I'm
the
still on the
engineers
plan
will-
set. Yeah, I'm still on the plan
It's
set.
Yeah.
your P1 you
Oh.
Here, we're looking at it. Thank you.
Because on
You
your-
mean
on your-
those dots?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that confused us too, and I think this came up with a different engineering drawings the last meeting, somebody else's project. This is just, I think, an AutoCAD thing. Those dots aren't where the holes are gonna be. They are just part of the label. And the actual pits are at the corners of the street there. I believe they're not on private property.
Let me take a stab at an answer. All the
Oh.
labels are floating in space. The weird little symbols that consist of a blue arc
Okay.
and an arrow
I
is
see.
just gonna tell you where to look for the note that goes with the thing behind the arc. And the thing behind the arc, the little red squares are where it actually is.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. That's helpful. Thank you.
And so we took this information and created our own maps in the report that kind of clarified the locations of the actual
Okay.
pit.
When I look at the detail of like the cabinet location, you're literally putting it on a sidewalk?
There's no sidewalk there that is, yeah, there's no sidewalk in that particular location. There's a photograph of that in the beginning of the report.
Right, okay. And then on your standard bore profile details, you point to the same line with 4 different notes that say 3-foot minimum, 4-foot minimum, and 5-foot minimum. And I don't understand which one it is.
That might be a question for Richard.
Good evening, everybody.
I think you need to be sworn in, Richard.
Yes, you will.
Richard, will you please raise your right hand, state your name and address for the record?
Yeah, Richard Estrada, 1932 Roanoke Drive Northeast, Rio Rancho, New Mexico, 87144.
Do you solemnly declare and affirm that the testimony you have in reference to this item shall be the truth and nothing but the truth, and do this under the penalties of perjury?
I do.
Thank you very much, Chairperson Swanson.
Thank you.
All right, do you understand the question?
I think I missed it. So member Bechtel, can you re-ask that question? I'm sorry.
Yes, on your typical details, you
Yep.
show 5 foot and 3 foot and 4 foot minimums on this line.
Yeah, so the trench detail, what it actually shows is surface, and it shows the slope down from the typical street level, and then it shows the minimum requirements from grade. So if you're looking at that, our directional bore is 30 to 36 inches under the surface. So if you looked at the detail in Veronica's consultation report, what you'll identify is that all of our trench has a floating maximum and minimum to float between those two requirements. I'm sorry, does that make sense?
Not at all, but I mean, it makes sense what you just said, but the drawing shows, it points to the same line, and it shows a 3 foot minimum, a 4 foot minimum, and a 5 foot minimum, all pointing to the same line.
So it shows the proposed bore fiber conduit, and then it shows 3 foot minimum, 3 foot minimum. So those are distances vertically and laterally, right? So if you're looking at the 5 foot minimum line, that's from the roadway level. The 4 foot minimum line is from the road right of way. And then the 3 foot minimum is from storm sewer. Does that make sense? So we're staying, we're staying a distance away from both the utilities and then from the top of grade.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yep.
Yeah, and
Okay.
it could be a little, I get why it's confusing for sure.
Yeah, I don't read these kind of drawings very often. Okay,
No,
cool. Thank you. And
That's
then I found a few, sorry, was someone else talking?
Richard, can you mute yourself for a moment while members Bechtel speaks? Go ahead, member Bechtel.
I found a few more notes in the actual report. Now I've lost it. Oh, let's see. Oh, here they are. When you're describing where the historic trail is, and on page, it's our page 38, your page 34, you show an overlay of I guess where it's documented the Santa Fe National Historic Trail that does not follow the actual alignment of the Old Pecos and Old Santa Fe trails in that diagram. And it just doesn't make any sense to me that those would be off that much.
Yeah, I know. I noticed that too. But that was from the NPS website, taken directly from their spatial data. So, yeah, it does appear to be off. I mean, if you're looking at Old Pecos Trail and Old Santa Fe Trail, it seems to be shifted to the right a little bit.
Right. I mean, it makes no sense whatsoever. Yeah. Okay. I have one more. Sorry. No, that's it. All right. I can't. Thank you.
You can always wave your hand and chime back in if you find something else. Member Trees.
Going back to the engineered drawings, I just have a question. Are you anticipating some of these, is this all street bore, or is it in the area sometimes between the sidewalk and the street, or I just would like to clarify where all that is happening.
I can answer that certainly. So it's going to be in the road right of way. So it will be between the back of curb and private property. So that will float depending on where the sidewalks are at. Adjacent to the sidewalk, we're typically going to look for that buffer zone between the sidewalk and the back of curb.
Okay. And so then where where you're going to, so, I know, member Bechtel said something about a concrete, surround on a box. And is that gonna be then in that same area between the sidewalk and the curb?
Yeah, that's right. So just as Berenice had indicated, the concrete pad for the fiber deployment cabinet, it was selected for that location primarily because it was the one vacant location in the area. But it is going to sit within the road right away. It's not going to be on a sidewalk. There's no sidewalk, as Berenice indicated, in that location. So it will still be in road right away, but it's going to be in front of private property. So between private property and the back of curb in the road right away.
So there's no sidewalk, and I'm just asking this question, is there's no sidewalk because a property owner has built a wall right on the property line, so there's no possibility for a sidewalk? Or
You know, I don't know that actually. Yeah. I don't know whether there isn't a sidewalk because somebody built a wall on their property. I'm not sure of that. So generally what we will do also is we'll maintain the same location in reference to the back of the curb that we do our directional boring. So even in locations where there is a sidewalk, we're going to try to maintain the location of the deployment cabinet in relation parallel to the street, so that if a sidewalk were to be put in, we would be adjacent to that location as well. The other thing is our concrete pad in most locations in other municipalities that we'll work in are typically integrated into what would be the sidewalk or back of curb. So we will have our panel integrated in with existing panels or future panels for that matter. So if it were ever an issue, it would be something that we could likely ensure that the location of the cabinet when we're setting it would accommodate for something like that. It is a 71 by 74 inch pad. So given the space on that location, we would probably need to discuss the exact placement of that if you guys were anticipating that a sidewalk were going to go in afterwards.
Okay. That was, I guess, where I was going with that was like, does the city have intentions of putting a sidewalk in at some point down the road?
Direct member Treese. I can't imagine. And I think there's been a lot of conversations about putting in sidewalks in the historic downtown and in the 5 historic districts. And there may be a movement for that in the future, but currently they're trying to keep the roads the size they are currently. And a lot of the roadways in the historic districts don't have sidewalks. And so taking that into consideration, I don't see the city moving in that direction.
Literally put walls right up to the edge.
We see zero lot line development downtown everywhere. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Okay. The other question I had was your cable's going to be at about 3 feet deep. Is that right? Or
yeah,
as member Beckler was asking, it varies from 3 to 5 feet deep, or what?
I'm sorry, I missed the second part of that question. Remember?
As member Bechtel was implying or asking, the depth varies from 3 to 5 feet?
Correct. Yeah. So typically our bore is shot at 30 to 36 inches deep below the grade of surface. The reason that we do that is primarily to avoid and give that minimum 3 foot separation from storm sewer. But it does depend, the height or the depth of the bore can be dictated by relation to other utilities. Does that make sense? So we can go deeper or higher, closer to the surface, depending on where the rest of the utilities are.
And you call for spotting and all that beforehand.
Correct.
Do you think there's any, I mean, I know from, when spotting, sometimes it's not completely accurate, and sometimes you can't even really guess where the location is. Do you have any options for other sorts of locating those utilities, like a gas line or something? I know that in the past we've used water to locate when in doubt.
Yeah, that's correct. So we deploy the same methodologies. It would be primarily like a hydrovac, for instance, to be able to core and test to locate utilities. That's part of typical industry practice. We also deploy technologies. You mentioned GPR in the previous case that you were looking at. We have that capability as well. So we do deploy all facets of trying to identify where the utilities are at. And obviously we follow the state of New Mexico's Pipeline Safety Bureau rules, which dictate that we can't directional bore if we can't locate a facility that is marked, right? So if, for instance, gas were out there and we couldn't find the gas line, then we would have to stop directional boring and try to do a core hole to be able to identify where that gas line is at according to the separation of the marks that they would have.
Okay, great, thank you. I just want to say this is a much better presentation than we got previously. Really appreciate the detail that we got this time on engineer drawings, and so we know what's going on.
Yeah, Chama Consulting has done a fantastic job for us in the short amount of time that they've been working with us. And just for the committee as a whole, I think that one of the things that we're trying to do at EASY is establish a regular cadence of the information that you would like to see, certainly the impact that it will have within the scope of the project, and then identify for us what the deliverables will be from a research and preparation standpoint. Mr. Duran's been very helpful in our weekly discussions with the city of Santa Fe as well, trying to secure these things so that we know exactly what we're stepping into and can keep everybody kind of apprised of the situation as we're going through it. So thank you for that.
That's all I got.
Thank you. Number one.
Didn't actually have any questions, but I thought I had a question and then I read again. I didn't have a question.
Okay. Fair enough.
This is in here.
Okay. Fair enough.
I had a few others whenever it's my turn again.
Go ahead.
On your report on in the history, I guess it's on page your 14 hour 18. You talk about the small farming communities key to the establishment of the New Mexico colony depending on irrigation, and I think you meant irrigation. But the other part that I got confused about was the discussion about the Santa Fe Trail you called the longest used trail in U.S. history that connected the outlying points of the Spanish Empire, which and then later you called the Camino Real that was replaced by the railroad. And it feels like to me that maybe there's some confusion between the Camino Real and the old Santa Fe and the Santa Fe Trail to St. Louis. I don't know, just
Yeah, that's just an error.
Okay, just didn't read quite right. So that was it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I've got some things flagged here. We talked about depth, so I don't need to do that. Bottom of this page 1. Last paragraph. Are you talking about handholds and forfeits? The dimension given for the forfeits seems incorrect. 4 by 4 inches and 4 inches deep. Would it not be 4 feet by 4 feet deep?
That's correct. So I was reading that as 4 feet by 4 feet by 4 inches deep. And if you notice, I think that Chama's note on there says it's 65 square feet, which would add up to that, right?
Yes, it just literally says inches instead of feet. And a bore pit only 4 inches deep?
Yeah, so the entrance point for the bore pit for us will be 4 inches deep typically, because we'll be approaching that at about a 30-degree angle. So it doesn't typically take for us to get very deep on that. That can actually vary to some degree. We will see that as deep as possibly 10 to 12 inches, but the typical depth for us is approximately 4 inches on that.
You're the first folks who've ever said that.
Yeah.
That's why I had to ask.
And remember, one of the caveats that we're doing in Santa Fe, especially with this project, it is a relatively small project from a construction aspect. So one of the things that we are doing is we're deploying a smaller drill rig just for ease of access to the location. We're trying to mitigate, community impact with traffic and those types of things. So we are trying to use a smaller directional bore machine. It's going to be the J5 or something similar to that. So it's among the smaller machines that you can get.
Cool, thank you.
Sure.
Bottom of page 5 in your doc seems to end with a widow. The last word on the page is this,
Oh,
and then nothing, so.
Oh, it continues on the next,
yeah, it should,
just back formatting, but
yeah.
the 10.
So there's an orphan on the next page. I didn't even see that. I thought it was part of the header. Okay. Bladed and graded and not an intact soil surface. Well, yeah. 99.9% of Santa Fe has been bladed and graded, and intact soil surfaces are few and far between. I hope that every place you have bare dirt to look at, you will look at it very carefully before anybody does anything.
I already looked at it when I took the pictures.
You're way ahead of me. You're page 29. Figure 11. Having seen this map before for other purposes, I had not ever noticed before that there's an important notation on here. Right at the intersection of Gildersleeve and East Coronado, which on this map is called Carlton Avenue, is a clear indication of the location of the Ramona Indian School, property University of New Mexico. Granted, I think we're on the opposite side of the street, but same concerns there regards unknown deposits that might be important. And when you look at your figures 16 and 17, there's some interesting open area just south and southeast of that intersection, which could have been the location of the actual school building. On page 35, I noticed you noted other people's observation of trenching in the vicinity found cultural deposits buried between 30 and 75 centimeters, 12 to 30 inches. Right in the target zone of bore entry and exit, if not possibly in the lateral target zone. I know that it's virtually impossible to see anything coming out of the results of a bore, but do look at every chance you get. Page 37. Third paragraph. Profiles of the soils in representative handholds will be drawn and photographed. Can you please just photograph all of them and draw all of them? Because they're so far apart, the chance of there being completely different picture presented is pretty high. And really good photos with whatever you call that photoshopping of putting your delineations of stratigraphy right on the photo, those work fine, but a drawing is easier for my old brain to understand. Photos are great, but draw what you see. And I think that's it.
I would like to make a quick correction. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I would like to make a quick correction on the bore pit depth. So I actually pulled the elevation design for myself in the location where we're going to be putting the vaults. And it does look like that's actually supposed to be 12 to 16. So it's a 14. I think that was a misprint. Inches deep. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Great. We're gonna get a nice picture and a nice drawing of everything, so we'll know actually how deep it really was. In all cases. There's something going on with our screen. Does that mean that people are having difficulty?
I'm not. You shouldn't.
Everything's
Is
fine.
it, is somebody there? Is anybody trying to raise their hand? Please do so now.
It seems the same on my end.
That mine seems okay.
All right. Technology always just serves us so well here. Strange things show up on the screen. Any committee member, anything else to offer, or shall I ask for a motion? Hearing nothing, can we have a motion?
I make a motion that we approve. What do we call this? Our case number, yes, okay, 2025-01138. Chama Environmental Research and Consulting LC agent for Easy Fiber. We approve this monitoring plan.
Motion and second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Good job.
Thank you, everybody.
All right, case number 2025-11039. Ron Winters, agent for Bill Deutschle?
That's Duchelle.
Duchelle? Oy vey. Sorry. I'm Northern European. I have no idea. Applicant requests approval of an archaeological monitoring report for the installation of 82 feet of new sewer line at 601 Canyon Road in the historic downtown archaeological review district. Thank you for your staff report. Paul, anything to add?
No, Chair. Thank you.
All right, Ron, be identified and sworn in, please.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Ron Winters, 109 Calle Paula, Santa Fe, New Mexico, 87505.
Thank you. Do you solemnly declare and affirm that the testimony you have in reference to this item shall be the truth and nothing but the truth, and do this under the penalties of perjury?
I do.
Thank you. Chair has been sworn.
What else do we need to know, Ron?
A couple things. One, I have to praise John Murphy again. I mean, the fact and information he provides is just unbelievable. And that's why I use it. I think certainly the building has improved value. What I found, based on the late age range of the artifacts, the small number and the heavily disturbed context, I did not feel it warranted a site designation, and so I did not do that. I think that's probably it. If you have any other questions, I'm happy to answer them for you.
Cool. Number ones. You got a check mark. And he's above,
It's like a star.
Gold star.
Okay. I have no questions. I enjoyed reading this. And Rebecca,
I have a few questions on the sidewalk on Canyon Road. It looks like that's pin tile that they removed in order to do the trench.
Page,
36 or 41. What's the photographs?
which photo?
Figure 7. Trench on south side.
Gayla, those are brick pavers. They're not pin tile.
They're not pin tile. Okay.
No, they're modern brick pavers.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you. That's all I have. And I too appreciate
Thank you.
John's a history of the building.
Yeah, no, exactly.
I'll have one. It's my typical thing that I noticed on the way by. It's buried in your cultural historical expectations. Your page 33. I know you're just trying to be thorough and you threw in a reference to types of sites elsewhere. And you make a reference to Abbott et al. 2007. That does not appear in your references site.
How can I leave Alicia out? I don't know.
You have to know that ABD pops out every time. So if the word rabbi shows up,
Got it, okay.
key on those 3 letters. But had to prove to you that I read the text. That's
I
all.
don't doubt it. And there was one last thing I wanted to point out. Courtney, you probably didn't get to see this before you got your packet, but I just wanted to.
Oh, okay.
He does get a gold star.
Yeah.
I wrote check mark to go start.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
All right, we can have a motion.
I'm sitting in the motion chair, aren't I?
You are.
You
Yeah,
are.
that's what the problem is.
All motions
To
are being
thank you
made from
for this. Thank you.
bottom left.
In the case of 2025-011-039, Ron Winters, agent for Bill Michelle, applicant, approval of an archaeological monitoring report. I move that we accept the report as written.
Moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
It carries. Thank you, Don.
Thank you, guys.
Next case. 2025-11040. Office of Archaeological Studies, agent for B Constructive Design, requests approval for a 3.76 acre cultural resources inventory report for the proposed construction of a Frank's Supply Warehouse in Devise at 700 Baca Lane and the River and Trails Archaeological Review District. Thank you for the staff report. Paul, anything to add?
No, Chair. Thank you.
Do we have,
One moment, please, Chair.
oh, there, I see a name.
It is not John, it is Becca. Is what you're telling me?
No,
John? John, you may unmute yourself. Dr. Taylor Montoya.
Here I am.
welcome.
I'm here.
Hi, please be sworn in.
Hi, John, will you please state your name and address for the record?
Yes, John Taylor Montoya, address is 7 Old Cochiti Lane, Santa Fe, New Mexico.
Do you solemnly declare and affirm that the testimony you have in reference to this item shall be the truth and nothing but the truth, and do this under the penalties of perjury?
I do.
Thank you. Chair, he's been sworn in.
Thank you. Dr. Taylor Montoya, you have the floor. Do you want to tell us anything else about this?
I don't have much to add. It's a survey for a plot proposed for construction of Frank Supply Store. A complete survey of the proposed area was completed by myself and a crew member. No sites were found. We did find some IOs, which are listed there in the report, as well as a demolished structure that we called Feature 1 that we determined to be recent, based both on evidence in the field and evidence that we found in the satellite imagery.
Excellent. Committee members, Member Bechtel.
Okay, can someone describe to me what a Class 3 cultural resources inventory is, and do I need to care for this review?
It just means it's a full-blown survey. It's just terminology that the city doesn't use in its ordinance.
Okay,
It in every way meets the intent and letter and all of that of the city ordinance.
okay, thanks. So I was frustrated by the lack of maps for this project. And I recognize this is a report, not the plan. But like all of the NIMCRIS, I didn't see a map that had those on it. Maybe I missed it. Like all the other things in the vicinity. And then I kept trying to find it on the maps that you provided, and then I got very confused by the maps on page 21. The general vicinity of project area overlaps the Cieneguilla grant, but then the map right below it does not have it overlapping the Cieneguilla grant. And so it became frustrating, but then the next page, figure 46 or 4.6, that one almost relates to the figure 4.3, but then figure 4.7 doesn't relate to any of the others. And so I became frustrated by how the property was delineated on these maps, I guess is what I'd like to say. And that continued with the aerial photographs. They were a little bit easier to follow, but the maps themselves were harder for me to follow. So it's the comment, I guess.
So responding to the
all?
NIMCRIS comment, the NIMCRIS maps are included in the report.
It's the very last page.
It's in the appendix.
Oh, so it's this map, but it relates to all those other numbers. I see. So they just weren't right next to each other.
Yes.
Okay.
This
thank
is
you.
typically done in a desire to keep information that should remain confidential out of the main body of the report.
Of
So
course.
put it in the appendix.
Thank
And
you.
it's the safest way to make it easy to clean it up if somebody asks for a copy of the report, and we're not supposed to give out those locations.
Thank you.
Sorry, John, I cut you off. You want to say anything else about that?
No, thank you. Actually, I appreciate that. That's precisely the reasoning I was going to give for that. So.
All right. Member Tree.
I didn't have any questions. Well, except as Member Bechtel had pointed out on the first, the Cieneguilla map, which I now blown up so that I can't even see it anymore. Figure 4.2, that your general vicinities, circle seems pretty general. But maybe that's just a feature of the map, and, so I don't really have any further comments.
All right. Number one,
I noticed that the NIAF is not there.
could you hear that, John?
I didn't quite catch that. Can you please repeat that? I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. The report is missing the NIAF.
Okay, we can easily insert that. So it is registered and the registration is complete, so we can easily insert that.
Thank you.
What she's referring to is the New Mexico,
Archaeological investigation.
NIAF is the abbreviation.
So this is one of the older versions of it.
Okay,
And then,
Yeah. the submitted report to the state.
To the archive, yeah.
yeah, so, part of the agreement with NIMCRIS with arms that everybody is required to have.
What I was trying to read was his answer, because I couldn't hear quite well. My tinnitus is getting worse, so I'm sorry.
What he said is it's easy to fix and I'll get it fixed.
Okay, great.
Because it is registered, all he has to do is procure that document from the archive and edit it, and it's gonna be fixed.
Okay.
In short, I think I covered it, right, John?
Right, thank you.
All right. I have a few things. First thing, starting on page 2. The base map. I don't think I've ever seen this particular base map before. What is it?
It's a topographic map that is part of the Esri GIS online package. So it's produced from GIS.
Okay, so it is the recent digital form of the USGS map.
Yeah, it's showing the relief contours on there
Right.
as shaded areas. It's the shaded area version of that map.
Somewhere amongst their maps that they deliver is the actual images of the printed quads of the latest edition that actually has information on it other than the digital loose representation we see here. And so it just shocked me because I'm used to looking at an actual map image and not a digital map representation. But the reason it caught my eye is the conspicuous red symboled line traveling across the map labeled wagon trail. Geez, if the USGS thinks that's really where the Camino Real is, they need a lesson in geography. So it's an unfortunate sort of a misrepresentation on their part. But having noticed that, and in going through all the maps and looking at the approximate map locations, as Member Bechtel did, just to verify that I really knew what I was looking at, I got to the cultural history overview, page 10, top of the left-hand column. There is indeed a mention of the Camino Real, but I didn't find a discussion of the location of the Camino Real and its actual proximity to project area. If everybody's right in this particular area, there should be one branch going right up Agua Fria. Excuse me, use the wrong word. Agua Fria, is that right? Yeah. And there's another one that could splinter off and maybe go through your project area because it kind of follows the trajectory of the USGS impression of where it is. Suffice to say that I think it would be nice if there was some more discussion of the Camino Real and its significance and its proximity to your project area. On page 19, table 4.3. I love the idea. It really helps to set forth all the maps you're going to lay out and why you lay them out and what to look for on them. But it bit you because every figure reference in that table was wrong. The very first reference should be to figure 4.1, not figure 4.3, and that offset continues all the way through to the end, making it hard for the reader to actually find the map that you were referring to unless they really knew what they were looking for. I notice on page 20 and everywhere in page or in table 4.3 as well, there's a reference to a subset of surveyed space using a convention that I've never seen before. It's right in the middle of the right-hand column. It says, by 1917, the tract that most likely covers the proposed APE was either section 11.6 of Township 16 North, Range 8 East, or a 43.75 acre parcel designated claim number 684, tract 2. It's lot 6 of section 11 of Township 16 North, Range 8 East. And so in that table, all of those references to 11 point whatever should be changed to lot number of section 11. The tract references are all correct. It's just the section and lot number references that are awry. That's all I have flagged, but I know there's something else. Oh, it's in your table, I believe. There's a mention of a road that can be seen in one of these maps. And I think you're exactly correct. I think it is Baca Road, and it's named for the Baca that is associated with that land claim, small land claim. I don't see it in the table. It's somewhere in the text. There's a mention of the road you can see on that. And it's just a
Yes,
tiny
yeah.
little stuff. And I think you're exactly right. That's what the road should be if indeed the depiction of the land grant and the general vicinity of project area are all in their proper orientations. Enough said about that. Last thing to say, figures 4.9 and 4.10. Both show alignments that cross the general vicinity of the project area, and I believe your actual project area, that more or less seem to match the alignment on figure 4.8, which is a dotted line symbol with equidistantly spaced bigger dots that runs from the upper right corner of the map down through your project area, terminates at the west end of the project area, and then becomes a drainage. I think that's some sort of a city installed sewer of some antiquity. I don't know if it's still in use. Somewhere on one of the maps of the age that depicts it, that symbol appears and is described as something relating to water, and I think it is either a storm sewer or a sanitary sewer line. If it's in your project area, that could explain some of the disturbance that you observed. I don't know that it's of any potential significance, but I did see that alignment and thought I should mention it. That is all.
Okay, thank you for your comments. We can definitely make those changes to the table. I think that's just an editing error on our part. You know, as well as the correcting the section 11.6 to, you know, to 11 and lot 6. And again, I think that's a transcription item on our part, and yeah, thank you for the observation too on regarding the maps and the features there. So yeah, this is mentioned in the text as well. When we were on the survey, we were being observant of anything that could have been one of those historic alignments of any kind, and it's mentioned in the text that we didn't see evidence for those on the survey. So
Right. Okay, thank you. It is typical that when corrections are minor editorial, and it does seem that these fit that bill, that we can approve without any provisional status. We just rely on you to fix it and get the corrected stuff submitted to city staff, and make sure that what ends up in ARMS is the corrected version.
absolutely, we can definitely do that.
Okay. We can have a motion.
In the case of 2025-011-040, Office of Archaeological Studies Agent for Be Constructive, I move that we accept the Cultural Resources Inventory Report with some corrections, editorial, as presented.
Moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carries. Thank you, Dr. Taylor Montoya.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Case number 2025-11051. Chronicle Heritage, Agent for Public Service Company in New Mexico, PNM, requests approval of an archaeological monitoring report for the installation of approximately 1,150 feet of subsurface electrical line at 1698 Galisteo Street in the River and Trails and Suburban Archaeological Review District. Thank you for the staff report. Paul, anything to add?
No, sir. Okay.
We have
Heather Seltzer Rogers, please, unmute yourself to be sworn in.
Okay.
Will you please state your name and address for the record?
Heather Seltzer Rogers, 10505 Hackmore Place, Southwest, Albuquerque, New Mexico, 87121.
Do you solemnly declare and affirm that the testimony you have in reference to this item shall be the truth and nothing but the truth and do this under the penalties of perjury?
I do.
Thank you. Sheriff, she's been sworn in.
Heather, you have the floor. Is there anything you need to add to what you've submitted?
Just there's a typo on the cover sheet. It's obviously this is the hearing for August 28th, not the 22nd.
Oh, well. Thank you. Member Trees.
I only have, one kind of comment. Most of the maps, I like, the ones that have orange blobs, are, I don't know, it just doesn't seem very, helpful somehow. So.
Which map?
Name of it.
Page 11, page 4. Of the document has a map, has a map with a big orange blob in the middle of it.
Heather, we can answer that right here.
I was gonna say, is there a color difference over there?
No, it's the map pulled off of Nimcris, and the symbology is the symbology that it is, and you have to live with what you see, and it's a big orange blob, and it doesn't look like much. So it's something we have to live with.
Oh, that's the way it comes from the state. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah, it's generated in the Nimcris system.
It's gross.
That is right up in
So you're off the hook, I guess.
She's off the hook.
I'm actually curious as to why it's so disjointed compared to.
So that's all I got.
Okay. Now we're back to.
I have no comments on this one.
Okay, thank you. Number 1.
No comments.
Again, my typical fashion, just to prove I read the thing. It was early, page 6. Your last paragraph of your environmental setting. Everything is impeccable except for the specific term for threadleaf groundsel. That second word should not be capitalized. Longilobus is lowercase.
Okay. Yeah, I see that.
Whenever I see italics, it's just like seeing a certain chain of letters. Whenever I see italics, I start thinking Latin, and there you go. Sorry about that, but that's all I got. We can have a motion.
I might want to take a look at something here before we do.
Hold that thought. A double check is going on.
There was an odd, and I may be missing it for somebody else's, but there was a description of church. That was odd, I thought. Fossiliferous?
Ah, fossiliferous. It contains tiny fossils.
I see.
It's really neat.
See, that's a word I would never come across, except for here. So thank you for members for defining that for me. I make a motion in the case of 2025-011051. Chronicle Heritage, agent for PNM of New Mexico. For approval of an archaeological monitoring report, I move that we accept.
Moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carries. Thank you, Heather.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
You too.
Great job.
That concludes our business cases. We now have administrative matters and communications, and I see you forearmed with lots of things to tell us.
First, I want to announce that this evening will be member one's last night with the ARC, and we would like as staff to say thank you for your very many years of service with us, and we're going to miss you dearly and appreciate you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much.
Thank
We
you.
miss-
And good luck with your new endeavor, with your new job. And stop by and see us.
I'll still be there.
Okay.
Those, the state archaeologist.
Congratulations.
Talk to her in a different mode.
Yeah.
Oh.
Thank you. We're all very super proud of you.
Thank you.
Great job.
Very much.
That is all we have from staff.
Okay.
Sorry.
Took a position as the state archaeologist.
Oh. You got kicked upstairs?
When this is over, I have a question.
So is my understanding that you have to bring somebody in to take her place?
We are currently looking for a replacement.
Well, there's no replacement.
No, I mean, for the position, not for her.
That's right.
If you happen to know anybody. You don't have anybody new in your agency?
And it's yeah, and it's the archaeologist position.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
definitely an archaeologist
Yeah.
position, so.
We are unfortunately down to people.
Yeah. Complete that thought.
Yeah.
Uh,
Thank you very much.
We will miss you.
Yes.
I already messed it up.
Yeah.
All right, that sort of an administrative matter and a matter from committee. Anything else?
Yes, Chair, I have something. Talking to Paul Duran today in our one-on-one meeting. We were wondering if we could move the meetings to the third week of the month on the Thursdays. We're having trouble because we have the historic board twice. And we just had the historic board meeting on Tuesday, and it's kind of like a lot of work on Paul. We're trying to break it up now.
So you break it.
Yes, if that's okay with you, then we can work on the calendar that way for next year, starting next year.
Member Bechtel, does the third Thursday work for you?
I imagine it will, as long as it's in my calendar ahead of time.
It would be for 2026.
Okay.
So nothing will change from what you've got so far. It'll be just the next time we review the calendar, it'll show up different date, assuming
Okay.
that's okay with.
Yeah, as long as it starts next year, I will be rotating off of the board and executive committee of the Home Builders Association, which meets on the third Thursday.
Okay.
So nobody has begged me to stay there. I've been there long enough. That's the indication you've been there long enough.
Yeah.
think that'll work.
Okay. I'm fine with it, so if you wanna build this 2026 calendar and present it to us whenever.
Okay.
Okay, and we'll also check with, Vice Chair Pierce
Okay.
when he comes back from his, outage.
But wasn't
When
there
he's-
a conflict with planning commission on the third Thursday?
We will double check all, other committees before, committing.
I think it was changed because of the stenographer.
Is
Yeah.
That was the reason why.
Since
Okay.
we don't have one.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry to cut you off.
All right, thank you.
So back to the only other member of the committee who's sitting in front of me and the one on the screen. Any matters you want to raise as committee members?
I just wanted to say thank you to Courtney and it's been really great serving here with you. And I look forward to seeing you more.
Thanks so much, Gail.
I have nothing. I'm sad that, we're losing archaeologists and they're in short supply. I have a granddaughter who's gonna be a genetic anthropologist, but that's not gonna help us.
That's really neat.
At this,
As far as I know, it's up there.
I think that's really neat, teacher.
If it's a good institution, we'll know enough about archaeology to be of use.
Well, she's going to you and that. Okay, we'll leave it up to you whether that's a good institution.
Well, I don't want to speak ill of my alma mater.
Good, because I really had to sell it to her to come here. I said, do you realize where you're coming? Yes, Columbia, but.
Oh my. Okay, the next thing here is a reminder that the next meeting is September 25th. You don't have to care anymore. We just have to make sure we got it on our calendar.
Yeah, yeah.
I won't
And
be
then-
here for that meeting.
So make it.
I won't be here for the September 28th meeting or whatever
Okay.
day.
thank
that
you,
is.
Member Michael.
Oh, it's the 25th.
That one either.
The whole week, you're at it. Okay, let's hope that Member Pierce is back and
He'd come back and
ready.
place
Andrew
motion.
says we won't have a quorum if he's not here.
I understand. I will contact him.
So in honor of your impending departure, we are ready for the 11th item on the agenda.
we need a motion for that.
I move the agenda.
I'm hesitating seconding.
Second.
I heard the word second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We
Thank you.
are,
Thanks, staff.
aye.